So speaking of the Snyderverse stuff, and just yesterday, David Ayer came out and put out in a reply to some idiot critic who just was shitting over his previous movie. He just had enough, and you know, I don't think. Look, I don't care if some people on the internet trash on Air, which he doesn't deserve. But I don't care much for it because there will always be those idiots who just hide behind a keyboard and say shit because they know they have no consequences to that. But
Right.
I do mind, and I do feel it's very shitty if professional critics and filmmakers or reviewers are actually trashing some other filmmaker or critic or whatever. So I don't like that thing to
Right.
happen, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. And David Ayer finally just quoted that person and replied with this. Now they put out a Hollywood Reporter article for this, and I'm just going to read from that. It says, "I put my life into Suicide Squad," Ayer wrote in a lengthy tweet titled "My Turn." I made something amazing. My cut is intricate and emotional, an emotional journey with some bad people who are shit on and discarded, a theme that resonates with my soul. The studio cut is not my movie. Read that again. A studio cut is not my movie. And my cut is not the 10-week director's cut, which they put out like it was the extended cut. It's a fully mature edit by Lee Smith, who has worked with Christopher Nolan, standing on the incredible work by John Gilroy. It's all Stephen Price's brilliant score, not with a single radio song in the whole thing. It has traditional character arcs, amazing performances, a solid third act resolution. A handful of people have seen it. That said, Ayer added, "I never told my side of the story and never will. I'm old school like that, so I'll keep my mouth shut and took I kept my mouth shut and took the tsunami of sometimes shocking personal criticism." The director concluded by saying he is so proud of Gunn, and he said, "I support Warner Brothers and I'm thrilled the franchise is getting the legs it needs. James's brilliant work will be the miracles of miracles, and that I will no longer speak publicly on the matter." So yeah, th- this also is just one extract of what he completely wrote. He wrote about his life story, kind of, you know, what he went through when he was a kid and growing up and all that stuff. And then he also mentioned the Suicide Squad thing. So that went viral, and a lot of trades picked it up, and a lot of people instantly were moved by it and supported the release of the Aircut movement, and why it was important to him and why it was important to so many people. They finally understood what happened, and I think listening this from the filmmaker itself and not just some angry trolls on the internet forcing people to support it makes a lot of difference. David Ayer finally came out and put this out from what he thinks and not just a one character limit tweet. He just put out a full, thing with pictures and stuff. So, yeah, I think this was the last time that he would say anything. I think he said more than enough. Now, if the studio just wants to release it or not, that's up to them. I don't think he'll just, keep talking about it even more because even from the last time he spoke about this till now, I think he never spoke about it because there are a lot of people who just bring negative shit into that, and it just forwards more fighting and stuff. So um, it's unfortunate, but it's something that had to be said. And I'm really, really glad that he said this, and it puts into perspective where he's coming from and why he's doing this, why he needs, to stand up for his cut of the movie, and why it's important to distinguish what his cut is from the studio hack job that came out. So yeah, what do you think of this?
Yeah, you really feel for the guy, and I think a big part of not talking about it anymore because the Suicide Squad movie's coming out soon. And I think he's being respectful to James Gunn, the cast and crew that worked so hard in that movie. Because if he was to come out every single day and said, "This is my haircut, this is what's in it," and to talk about every single day, it would take away from the movie that's coming out now. So I think he's being very respectful, which is very good. David Ayer has shown us the support, and the two of them, or David Ayer was doing an interview and he talked about, he has talked personally with David Ayer about what happened, behind the scenes and stuff like that. So two of them are supported toward each other. But yeah, these critics, it's ridiculous. These critics doing reviews for the Suicide Squad, and they mention David Ayer by name. They mention the first Suicide Squad for them just to shit on those people to prop up this new one by James Gunn. Like that's just ridiculous stuff. It really is. And I don't like it whatsoever. And these bloggers, these critics aren't critics whatsoever. They're just a joke, really, to be doing this. I think one critic said, "Oh, it's not David Ayer's Suicide Squad, so it's already better." Stuff like that. It's ridiculous and disrespectful, especially when the information is out there that it's not his movie and that the movie that came out was studio driven and they changed things like that. So yeah, I want to see the Ayer cut. I have for a long time. I'm a big David Ayer fan. I love all of his movies. Even somebody who likes the first Suicide Squad movie and enjoyed it and went to go see it opening night with my brother. It's a good memory I have. I had a good time. I still support his vision coming out there, because I want to see more Joker. I want to see what his vision was for this dark Joker that he had in mind, and Harley Quinn and more Deadshot and all these characters. I want to see that because it will be 1,000 times different than the theatrical cut. As he said, his movie's all scored. There's not a pop song in sight. It's darker and stuff like that. So I think the Air cut has the potential to maybe match James Gunn's The Suicide Squad because it's two directors showing their vision. And the Air cut will be David Ayer's. Like, watch Tax Collector, watch Training Day, watch Sabotage, watch Fury. His films are dark, gritty movies that have an aesthetic towards it. And I actually think that
He does
this
have a style.
Suicide Squad, yeah, it's a really really good style and it stands out. I even think comparing the first Suicide Squad and the new Suicide Squad, I think that aesthetic of David Ayer was missing from the new one because even in the theatrical one, you can still see that aesthetic from David Ayer. Like what his aesthetic is, just that dark, gritty feeling to it, and the way characters stand out, and costume design and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that was missing a little bit from this new one, but yeah, I just really feel for the guy that he has to take this shit so often. And fans don't help either. Even fans who want the haircut don't help, I don't think, at times by pitting these two guys together, David Ayer and James Gunn, when it's not James Gunn's fault whatsoever. It's Warner Brothers' fault. And James Gunn talks about getting creative freedom and but the studio letting him do what he wanted to do. Isn't that what we wanted? Like, didn't we fight for 3 years for the Snyder Cut so directors would get their creative freedom and their creative vision? Now that one person has it that we don't like, we want it taken away from them, or we call them a hypocrite, stuff like that. So I think it's hypocritical from Warner Brothers' standpoint. I don't think it's hypocritical from James Gunn's standpoint whatsoever. He's just talking about his own perspective and what he went through, and he acknowledged what David Ayer went through because he spoke to him. And he says that some of the people are different than the people that were at the studio when David Ayer was there, which is true. A lot of people are gone. Jeff Johns is gone, John Berg is gone, Kevin Tushara is gone. A lot of those guys are gone. Now, there's a few of them still around, of course, but yeah, it's going to be hard to get rid of them all. Every studio, I'm sure, has those guys that are very hard to get rid of. But yeah, I read all this from him the other day and fair play from and all out there. I think we will get the haircut at some stage, but I don't think we get it this week or next week or this month or even this year because the Suicide Squad movie is out and that's the one that they want to do well. I just think it would be like if it was announced, I just think it would be a little bit shitty towards James Gunn and the team that brought this new one. I think let this one come out, give some time to breathe, and then announce the haircut for 2022 or like why not? It would be a lot cheaper than
Yeah.
the haircut, big time. So I think it will get out there instead.
Yeah, I also agree with you. I think that, this has a more likelihood of happening than restore the Snyderverse or, making Justice League 2, whatever, because this doesn't have Snyder in it. And This doesn't cost like $80 million or something, and it doesn't have to do reshoots or any of any kind. They just have to go back and edit it the way David Ayer was gonna make it, and just finish, it like that. So I think it has a very high. I'm talking about the studio's perspective because they look at all these things as a business. They won't just go back to work on an old project without some benefit. So
And
there's less input in this, and they have more to gain from this. So by doing that, they can also maintain the narrative that they are listening to the fans, and protecting the integrity of the directors and all that stuff. So there's a lot of benefit to them from doing this than there would be, negative aspects of not doing it. So I think that they will definitely come around to this at some point. And I also love that James Gunn is fully supportive, and he replies to every single thing that David Ayer talks about Suicide Squad, and he's very, he's very interactive with fans as well. So he makes sure that he makes sure that Ayer feels supported by James Gunn. And even from a interview statement, I think he talked about that. He's fully supportive of the Ayer cut. He's fully supportive of David Ayer and what he brought, and how he paved the way for Gunn to make this movie. So yeah, despite all the look, James Gunn is from Marvel, right? So Marvel fans can be toxic, but they are not toxic towards the filmmakers because they get everything they want, right? So they don't, the filmmakers don't necessarily witness a lot of toxicity from fans. But James Gunn coming to DC had to go through all that. He had to go through those anti James Gunn people. He had to go through the anti, new DCEU people, and the anti and the just the random toxic people as well. So he has experienced that now, and but he also has seen a lot of positivity. So I'm glad that he is still maintaining that. Most of the fans are not like that, and most of the fans are good people who just want to support and enjoy whatever's coming out, and if they like it, they like it. So they're not shitty to the filmmakers. So I'm glad that he is aware of all that, and he perfectly understands what everything means and why people are doing this. So he's also supportive of that. So I'm glad that that's the case.
yeah, and like yeah, they support each other, which is good. I see many people online saying that David Ayer or James Gunn is just doing it for PR, just to look good. Is David Ayer, is he gullible? Is David Ayer a stupid guy? He doesn't come off as a
They
stupid
spoke
guy.
to each other
I
about
think
the whole
David
thing.
Ayer. Yeah, I think David Ayer would realize if James Gunn was making a joke out of him, or if James Gunn was just using him as a PR stunt. David Ayer's a pretty smart
Yeah.
guy. So it's not just PR from James Gunn; it's a PR from David Ayer as well as he in on it. That argument is a little bit stupid. I
Yeah.
think. I think. I mean, they bring up tweets where James Gunn liked something where it shit on the previous Suicide Squad. I think if I think David Ayer has shit on the previous Suicide Squad,
Yeah.
because it's not his movie. So yeah, it's just and then to see David Ayer being thanked at the end of the new Suicide Squad, people are running out of stuff to say. So yeah, it's just funny at times. It is funny, but yeah, I hope the Ayer cut gets released. And remember, it has huge stars attached to it. Will Smith ever tweeted release the Ayer cut or talked about the Ayer cut? It's done. He's the power to get it released. And like you could market that so well. Like Will Smith in Jared Leto, Margot Robbie, Ben Affleck's Batman. You could that film would do pretty well, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I think it will happen. Just give